Hello, honorable members of the clan. So, guys, let's continue with my 2 cent or my 2 IQ opinion about what happened at the North Gauteng High Court in the Senzo Meyiwa Mauda trial, where there were some bombshells that were dropped by Mr. Mnisi. Basically, took our minds and said, "Don't trust LPC type of situation because this is rampant." And I also love the when he asked for the beneficiaries' names. I was like, Mr. Ramosepele, you are pushing it now. But anyways, that was very nice to watch. But the question is, okay, fine. The state has laid its case or laid its ground regarding Mr. Mjiako and all the other stuff that we learned about, and trust fund, not trust fund, trust accounts, and FFC number that goes with all the stuff that he mentioned earlier. But then, of course, why then is he showing us SMSs, not even SMSs, please call, please call, please call, and he's basically asking the witness to read out Miss Pinky's testimony. And then to a point where Mr. Rata had to ask, where are these phone calls going and coming to? Type of situation. But the question has to be asked. Didn't Giaco get paid? How did he get paid? Who paid him? By Ntanzi or somebody in Ntanzi's family. Because when we read Ntanzi's, or at least when Ntanzi's bank account records were read in court, nowhere does it say that so much money was deposited into a law firm's account number. Nowhere in there. Let's go to the cross-examination of Mr. Ramosepele, whom I think did a very good job. He started out with Mr. Sambo by telling him the reasons why he is there, by giving him a background of what happened. So then he says, before that, Mr. Mnisi had asked if he could be after Mr. Ramosepele, and then Ratak Ad was like, no, I'm just asking because, he also represents accused number one, and then Ramosepele is the one going to start, so he wants to be the second. It was just an administrative thing, which Rata was a little bit shocked about. Well, anyways, let's leave it there. Okay, Mr. Ramosepele says that you were told, was basically just laying the foundation to Mr. Sambo, that were you told why you are here? He says, yeah, he was told. It is about the affidavit regarding him and Mr. Mjiako to LPC. Who is Mr. Mjiako to LPC? And then Ramosepele continues to say, I'll give you the background as to why you are here. My client did not commission Mr. Mjiako to represent him as his attorney when he went to Miss Cronier. Remember, he went and met Miss Cronier. Miss Cronier was adamant that the lawyer was there, showed her his FFC number and all of that, which now is starting to sound like Miss Cronier. Was Mjiako really there, ma'am? Was he really there? Because we've established some few things. I mean, I was looking into the city of Johannesburg, what you call this thing, Majik again, employees. He was a executive director under the MMC for transportation in the city of Johannesburg as a legal advisor. You can't take that away from. It's there. It's public records. Even his own LinkedIn says the same thing. So now, Miss Cronier, was Mjiako really there? I think probably he was, because they needed to find somebody allegedly who as corrupt can be. Because if we look back at Mr. Mjiako's history himself, it doesn't sound good. And I'll keep wondering, then how was he admitted as an attorney if you had such allegations against you? Are you joking? Allegedly, by the intelligence, allegedly, and you are now an advocate who's supposed to be fit. Does it now kind of fit what Mr. Nisi was saying earlier, that some people buy these FFC numbers They get accepted as members of the LPC. Hey, guys, kuningi, and ngiyiwani bafethu ngeke. And then it goes on, Mr. Ramos says, I am not here to suggest or say that Mr. Mjiako was not a professional lawyer. That's not what we are contesting or disputing. The relevant person is Mr. Mjiako himself, who's supposed to be here. Mr. Ramosepele was straight on that. Like, you're not supposed to be here. The person that's supposed to be in your place is Mr. Mjiako himself. And then I asked myself, then why don't you apply to the court for him to get called? Then I remember that this matter is of the state, and it's the state that needs to call Mjiako on the stand so that the defense can cross-examine him. This is the state's case. So if the state wants to prove his case beyond a reasonable doubt, and it says Mjiako was the one that represented Ntanzi, then the state needs to call him as a witness. I doubt they will. Now that we've heard what Mr. Nisi did, I don't think it's coming. But that should also be in the court's mind, or considered by the court, that why the most important person, because Section 35 of the Constitution speaks about legal representation, that one has the right to legal representation. So therefore, you cannot make a confession without a legal, a legal professional who's going to represent you. I know with accused number one, apparently he said, no, me now, I want to cough up things, no lawyers. Like, really? Who would do that? Who would do that? Unless you are caught red-handed having done something, then yeah, chances are you can plead insanity or whatever the case might be. But when there's no way that accused number one just said, let me confess, I don't need a lawyer. And then similar method was used when it came to accused number two, who says, I want to cough up this thing that has been bothering me for the past 6 years. I'm responsible for the death of Senzo Meiwa. And then he gets a lawyer. This doesn't make sense, people. It doesn't make sense. So let's continue. Then he said to Mr. Sambo, he needs to come with evidence. Mr. Mjiako is the one that needs to come with evidence. Part of the evidence that Mr. Mjiako needs to come to court with is, number one, the phone call that Ntanzi made to him and said, I need legal representation. Where is the, what they call this thing again? The agreement between a client and a lawyer? What is it called again? And then thirdly, the payments. Where are all of that? Where are all of those things? And then Mr. Ramosepele continues to say that we don't dispute the documents that you presented in court about Mr. Mjiako. All the other stuff that he mentioned, the errors and whatnot, they are not in dispute of that. You don't work for Fidelity Fund, but for LPC. So Mr. Ramosepele was like, you know what? I'm not going to ask you for FFC because I know you don't work for them. You work for LPC. For me, I just want to know a few things from you. Number one, do you have access to Fidelity portal? Or the Fidelity Fund portal. Mr. Sambo says there are 2 ways of doing it, and they do have access on all of them, but limited access, he said. Then Mr. Ramosepele continues to say, did you seek clarity from FCC portal? Why was there an error in Mr. Mjiako's FFC number? He said, yes, he did seek clarity. Hence, he got a response from Mr. Herman, who said it was a bona fide error on the FFC number of Mr. Mjiako. All right. And I was like, okay, good. That's nice to know. And then Mr. Ramosepele continues to say, the person you called, we have that you called, do you have his number so that basically his name, surname, and contact number so that he could be called to court to answer whether or not this conversation between the two of you did take place? He says, okay, it did take place. And then Mr. Ramosepele goes on to Miss Scalt. Miss Scalt is the person that shared an FFC number with Giaco, and about the duplicacy of it. And then he says, well, I got an email from Giaco, not from Mrs. Scalt, who was aggrieved by her FFC number being used fraudulently. Because let's call it for what it is. It's fraud that was committed, allegedly. And then, did Miss Scalt complain to you directly or wrote it to Mr. Giaco? He says, well, I wouldn't know how Miss Scalt communicated in order for Giaco to know that I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think Scalt knew about this. I don't think Scalt knew at all. Probably this is the first time she is going to hear about it. I think because I'm looking at the period of time between 2004 and 2000 and between 2020 and 2024, right? And all these years until Giaco writes a letter to LPC in December of 2024. That's just like a few months ago. How many? Like 6 months ago. So all this time, Miss Scott did not know about this. That is why she had not written to LPC regarding this. She did not know. And probably this is the first time she's going to find out about this. And what legal steps is she going to take? Because fraud, as far as I'm concerned, was committed in her FFC number. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. And then Mr. Ramosepele continues to say, have you ever heard of professionals or practitioners colluding with officials at LPC? This was the first time where I took my classes and I put it down backwards, and I'm like, Mr. Ramosepele, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Little did I know that Mr. Nisi was going to come and say, pew. It was interesting. And then he says, no, he does not have any knowledge of that. And this is when Mr. Sambo's voice dipped. His voice was already not confident, but this time it went boop, 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 all the way down. And then Mr. Ramosepele wanted to know what happened to the other number that belonged to Mrs. Scalt when Giaco got a new one. Then Sambo said, no, she continued with her original number. I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew. And probably finding out today that her FFC number was fraudulently used. Because she would have made a complaint. I think anybody would have. Imagine your ID number. The police knock on your door and say, you are being arrested for corruption. And you're like, no, wait, what? Excuse me. And you're like, wait, what corruption? And then they say, is this not your ID number? And you read it and you're like, yeah, that's my ID number. It's something like that. You're telling me you're just going to fold your arms and go to the person that used your ID number and write them an email. Is that what you would do? I don't think so. Because that chips into your credibility. Remember, this fraternity, apparently the way is so fragile that you need to be fit and proper. Imagine now her FFC number is circulating when she wants to be a judge. And then the questions would be, then why didn't you report to LPC? And then she loses the job. I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew. So anyways, Mr. Ramosepele then ended his cross-examination with that question. But before he left, he wanted to know the full names of the system developer at the FFC portal so that he comes and answer to all these discrepancies, which I don't think they are errors. After what we heard, and after the labor court matter that Miss Madonsela took the 6 LPC members on, And then also the knowledge that we may have about driving, what do you call this, the licensing center, as well as the home affairs, where everywhere South Africans have been screwed because the department has to issue something, a certificate, a permit, or something like that. They buy these things, guys. They buy them, allegedly. And then, guys, those are my thoughts regarding Mr. Ramosepele. And I thought that was brilliant ground that he leveled for Mr. Mnisi, who came and said, yeah, I got an atom bomb right here. And he dropped it, guys. It was nice. It was nice to see. And then, guys, please don't leave this video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see you next time with a new video. Goodbye.